Okay. Hi, everybody good? I'm Steve Goranson. I work for the Minnesota Historical Society, and I've been working there for a few years now, working in collections with the Archaeology department. And I'm going to be talking today about the digital work we've been doing there, trying to make our collections more accessible for people and working on building an online reference collection. Just a little background of what's going on and what we're doing with the comparative collection. Due to the Fort Snelling revitalization project that's been currently ongoing and the demolition of the visitor center, the archaeology department, as well as all the archaeological collections stored there, had to be moved. At the time of the move, space became sparse for storage of the comparative collections, so physical access to the collections as a group was deemed unnecessary. As long as we could have some sort of good photographic documentation and could be made available instead, including high quality photographs, associated artifact information, and creating an accessible website with the goal of providing digital access to the comparative collections. Being a repository, of course, for our various archaeological collections, we want to preserve these artifacts while still make them accessible for education and research. So that is one of our big pushes, is trying to make these collections more digitally accessible as many people as possible. In the comparative collection, we have over 1,600 historical artifacts, including a large amount of ceramics, from jugs and crocks to platters and plates, lots of smoking pipes, glass bottles, and various other artifacts representing an array of activities. All these artifacts come from about 66 various sites. However, currently we only have a few select artifacts available on the collections online for MNHS from Fort Snelling. So we're trying to make that larger. Just a small example of some of the sites that we have represented in the collection are, like, the purple is Fort Snelling, and that represents about half the collection, so that's a very large chunk. Green is Lower Sioux Agency. The orange is Fort Ridgely, and then there are other various sites such as the Northwest Company Fur Post, which is now the Snake River Fur Post, Plymouth Avenue Dump, Red Wing Dump, and a bunch of other small sites. So another goal is, with further research and development, we're looking to expand the comparative collection to include a larger representation from the state. So the historical comparative collection project that we've been working on is a multi-step photo documentation project, and we've had lots of help from volunteers and interns and students, and that's been invaluable to help get this stuff done. So I would like to thank all the schools and students that have worked very hard to get a lot of this photos and documentation completed. We're photographing as many multiple views of artifacts, highlighting features as much as possible. As you can see from this example here of a teacup, just side shots, top shots, anytime we can get any maker's marks, anything possible, we'll try to highlight them so we can put them in a comparative collection database for people to view. Then, of course, the next steps are just something as simple as updating metadata templates to the images, editing photos as needed, and we create multimedia records in the collections management system, EBU, and then connect those to the catalog records we currently have in EMU. And then once that's completed, we're going to put away all the artifacts in their original location, and that's how we're going to be saving space, by putting everything back where it goes. And then we are going to be reviewing all collections before anything's published online, and having discussions with appropriate stakeholders and communities about sensitive artifacts and sites, about what we can or should not be making available. And one of the next big steps after this is going to be research and writing internet type descriptions to get them ready for publication on our MNHS website, Collections Online. This was already done with select artifacts from Fort Snelling collection that we do have currently online, but it's not a lot of them. And of course, these are just going to include basic things such as history, scene type, decoration type, maker's mark descriptions, date ranges, and so on. This is where the students have been a huge help. We do have fall interns and some spring interns that have been helping write internet descriptions for a lot of the bottles we have. And then you'll see in a later presentation, I think it's tomorrow, by Laura Meyer. She's working on all the button types from Fort Snelling. So we've been able to get some good content and history behind a lot of this stuff that hopefully we can be adding to the website that I'll be talking about, and then we can develop into further education and research for people. A strength and weakness of the collections online currently is that there's a large number of records available in the system, but finding a group of related records can actually prove quite challenging because the organization is kind of tough to search through. Some of the next steps are going to be, once the internet descriptions are complete, we're going to be publishing this stuff to the MNHS collections online, while at the same time, we're working at creating a new functioning website for MNHS Archaeology with easy access to the comparative collection, making it as near physical access as possible, linking records to EMU as needed. The process of creating this historical comparative collection reference page should be fairly straightforward using the MNHS Archaeology website via the collections online. And some of the things we're going to be doing to create this, we're going to look at creating functional groups for sorting purposes, such as household, arms, military, toys and recreation, unassigned, medicinal hygiene, clothing, architecture, and just so on. The objects can belong to more than one category. Ceramic marbles can be grouped with other ceramics and with toys if desired. We went back and forth with starting with just material type, but then that can be a big rabbit hole. So we tried to keep things as functional groups for people because we want the public and researchers to be able to use this and explore this and keep it as simple as we can. The number and types of descriptions required will be determined by the final list of collections included in the project and the access categories used to establish and navigate and create a navigation of the website. Some functional requirements we're looking at creating for the website are just very simple navigation and search bars. The site's going to be searchable by the sorted groups and several other selected characteristics such as material type, decoration, and location. There should be timely updates to records if new information becomes available. Contact information is going to be provided to arrange further research or to view selected artifacts where accessible in person, with some sort of feedback or discussion. So we want this to be an organic site that can be changed and adapt and rotate through things well. Some of the enhancements we're looking at making further down the road is that artifacts could include more information about artifact types, such as seen as need references. Doing some research, comparing other sites, seeing what people have out there. A number of organizations have posted PDF files with cataloging protocols and identification guides, but relatively few web-based resources to aid artifact identification. One of the best is the Jefferson Patterson Museum Diagnostic Artifacts in Maryland. Although this website is aimed at archaeologists working in the Eastern US, there's many of the artifact types occur throughout the United States. And this is an example of the webpage there. The site is organized by material type. Each artifact type has an essay discussing the type's characteristics and associated dates. It is illustrated with images of artifacts from museum collection, as well as from private collections from around the state. However, the Maryland website is not searchable. Example artifacts can be viewed by browsing the specific types. Sites like the Florida Museum Digital Ceramic Type Collection allow both browsing and searching. They have an extensive list of ceramic types to browse the user and can search on one or more 19 characteristics. The MNHS collection website would benefit from a level of both of these websites, allowing for searching and browsing. Most of the example websites are focused on a single artifact type, such as ceramics or bottles, such as the SHA Bottle Identification website, and are designed to be educational. The primary purpose of our project is to provide examples of the historical artifacts from sites in Minnesota through the MNHS collections themselves, giving enough background and history to place those artifacts in a useful context for the users, but would not attempt not attempt to serve as a tutorial for users by providing illustrations of artifacts outside the MNHS collection. So just using the MNHS collections and sites. Some of the future considerations we have for the website we're working through are creating a browsable map interface to be explored using MHS sites. EMU does have a mapping capability as long as location data is entered, of course, without not giving away too much specific site information. We are looking at creating 3D models of artifacts, select artifacts, for a more extensive view of them through photogrammetry or 3D scanning. We're not quite sure yet, but just different things to expand the website for use, so you don't always have to come and look at things in person. We'll have some sort of rotating feature of artifacts, and then other artifacts that are already in the MNHS collections online should be considered for addition to the website. And here are just some quick results of so far. All artifacts so far in the historical comparative collection have been photographed. Over 3,000 photos have been taken. Of course, some are going to be deemed not suitable for the new website. By providing an online reference collection for researchers, we are hoping on cutting down unnecessary trips to the repository, saving time and money ideally. It's going to be an organic site that's open to fluctuation and changes. It allows the reference collection to be easily accessible and usable to a broader audience and raise the profile for MNHS collections, which is one of the big goals we've been working on. A big digital initiative of MHS, especially the archaeology department, is we want people to use these collections as much as possible for research, education, and we're trying to make everything as digitally accessible as possible for people to look at it online, to come in person to look at it. Luckily, due to the Fort Snelling inventory we completed, we have had success of students using that. Now that we know what we have, it's accessible, they can look through all the catalog records. We have students using it for dissertations and theses, so it's good progress, and we're hoping on keeping that moving forward, making everything more usable for people. And hopefully by creating a usable reference collection for Minnesota and possibly the upper Midwest. And that is all I have. We do plan on continuing the work once the historical comparative collections are done and working with the lithic comparative collection, the stuff that Dan Wente has been putting together over time, and photographing that, putting that in a comparative collection online, as well as the final book comparative collection. So slowly working on moving through everything we can get and post online. Yeah. Thank you so much. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Steve. And I think, yeah, there are a couple of questions already.
Yep.
Yeah, Steve, we have a question. How are you dealing with online digital storage? Do you have pictures of artifacts within the catalog? And are you planning on using something like Sketchfab for online viewing of artifacts?
We haven't gotten that far yet. And yet all the storage is through the collections management system, EMU. So we create the multimedia records, and those are going to be attached to the catalog records in the collections management system. So that's where all the storage is of the photos. So we'll use some photos on the website to highlight artifacts, as many as possible of the comparative collection, and then we'll have links back to the collections online where we'll have all that rundown of the collection management system where all the photos will be. And as far as Sketchfab, we haven't gotten that far yet. I don't know. We haven't looked that far into creating the images of the artifacts, but I imagine something like Sketchfab will be used.
As you were talking, I kept wondering, are they going to do 3D? Are they going to do 3D? And it looks like you're going to get there.
Yep, that's one of our big goals, is to do 3D modeling down the road.
But then that means storage space is a bigger problem or not?
I would imagine it's going to be something of an issue. So we'll play it, we'll play it by ear as we go along. We're going to first just get the website up and running with the collections, and then we'll see what we can do with storage space for further development of 3D models.
Great.
Has there been any challenges you've come up